evening. I'm just arriving in downtown. I'm on my way to the General Assembly. So you guys want to walk with me? So I don't have to walk by myself. Oh, it's down there. If you guys want to chat with me while you're watching, I can't see the Facebook and Twitter chat. I can only see the Ustream chat. Um, as soon as Sky and Freedom come back in town, I'll ask them if they know how to get me into that chat. But for now, I only know how to use the Ustream chat. I forgot to press the button. Some idiot just walked in front of the train. And she just walked in front of the train too.
You know, so I could either burn myself, or he could even tell the guy, like, oh no, like, I'm gonna get really run the street, or we can,
Collaborate.
yeah, bet like that. Well, you can turn. There's the recording.
Right now, I'm at First and Alameda right now, by the Little Tokyo stop in Little Tokyo, over by the Mocha Captain. And there's a great show there called Under the Blue Black Sun. Tonight we're having a theme GA hosted by the Queer Affinity Group, um, with John and Esther. And hopefully I'll arrive on time because John asked me personally to film it for him. I wonder if there's anything. Oh, there's a little hole. There's a hole in the ground underneath the cone. That's a hotel over there, Miyako Hotel. That must be a good restaurant. There's a big crowd outside. Hi, if you're just joining us, I'm on my way to the General Assembly. Tonight we're having a theme um, General Assembly hosted by the Queer Affinity Group. Sardini, hello. Good morning. What time is it in France? Sardini, you were saying last night that we walk a lot. Well, I guess the reason why we walk a lot is because in downtown it's hard to find parking, and I don't have money for parking, so I found an illegal parking spot. Um, I don't pay, but I could get a ticket, but I never did. So I walk. Um, I walk a little bit. I'm just about 2 blocks away from City Hall right now. Up here to the left is the Starbucks that we call Occubucks. It's where we have a lot of meetings outdoors over there. 4 hours of the morning, watching Australian Open and your stream. Awesome. I hope you don't get bored. It's no, no. Hopefully, no police action tonight. Hopefully, LAPD will behave. So that's the Starbucks over there, and I don't see anybody. Usually, there's meetings over there, like resource meetings and stuff like that, before the General Assembly. Up here on the left, this building I'm pointing at is one of the big LAPD buildings. And this building over here on this side is City Hall East. There's a lot of trees. You can, oh, there you can see the building. At City Hall East is where a lot of the administrative offices are. My my phone made a noise. Does that mean I have a text? Only four current viewer. Yeah, well, there's only four people watching because, I mean, General Assembly is not very interesting sometimes. It's just a lot of arguing and debating that goes on for hours and hours. So if you're not interested in the topic that we're discussing, um, probably people like to watch violence, violent police actions. Um, if the police are being stupid, more people will watch. But nothing. I'm not expecting anything, any stupid police behavior tonight. But I've been wrong before. So I'm here at City Hall. I have to go around the corner. But you can see this is the fence that they put around City Hall. There's these big concrete white blocks on the bottom that are holding up the suppressive fence. I'm agree with you. Calm life is cool. Yeah. I had enough excitement already this week. The sign here says City Hall Park is closed. Trespassers subject to arrest. Penal Code Section 602K. And here's S&S Construction Service Specialty Events, portable toilets, fencing, power poles. 1-800-622-2244. www.sansrenafence.com. They're the people who put the fence up. Over here is another LAPD police building, and then over here is Los Angeles Times newspaper. Um, the Los Angeles Times doesn't really like to tell the truth about Occupy. They do a really bad job of reporting what's going on in the Occupy movement. Don't trust the media, they lie. Or they don't tell the whole truth, and that's lying too. So I'm at the corner of Spring and First right now. The building on the left over there is the courthouse. That's the courthouse where a lot of the cases for the people who were arrested on November 30 had their trials in that courthouse. And I spent at least 5 days watching the trials and being treated like shit by the sheriff bailiffs. Like Gaza, barriers like Gaza. Yeah, it's really oppressive. Okay, that's tacky. There's a sign on the building. This is a beautiful historical architectural building, and there's a city park sign that says daily hours of operation. 8. I don't know what time. I can't read it. I don't know how the hell they expect anybody to read a sign up that high. I think they just put it up there that high so nobody can take it down, but it being up there is like really pointless. Nobody can see it. Hey! They know my name. It's cool.
She didn't say that out loud. So she, you know,
I got my friend Sardini from France here online with me.
oh, sweet.
He's
And
asking
I
me
sold a
why.
hat. I
Yay!
did, like, to Julie. She looks so cute in it. You'll see. And I'm
Yeah.
so stoked. I really needed to.
Awesome, awesome.
I was broke. It's gonna buy me tacos on the way home.
This is Sunshine.
Hey now.
Um, my friend Sardini from France is watching along with four couple other people. Someone just tuned in right now.
Nice.
Um,
Hi.
Sunshine makes
Hey
some
now.
beautiful hats.
Thank you. And look, tonight I'm all rainbow in honor of
Oh, rainbow for we're having the gay pride
affinity.
queer affinity general assembly.
It's our special theme. And I'm about to actually
Someone in a gas mask is
you might
waving
want
to
to move
me.
away from Sunshine. She works
I might,
hard for these
I
rights.
might want to sit next to
All
Sunshine
right, darn.
and just breathe.
Just breathe. I'm gonna put that on a hoodie. Just breathe.
Just breathe. No, thank you. I only eat.
Oh, that's good. I just got a bunch of trim that I'm gonna turn
Yeah.
into butter, so I'll bring you some Rice Krispie treats.
Yay! I think
Are
those are
you down
gluten
for that?
free.
Because I don't have an oven. I can only
Yeah.
make Rice Krispie
I'm
treats.
gluten free. I think they're gluten free. I don't think they have wheat in them.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
No wheat.
No wheat. Yeah.
I'll be so careful about that. If
But I think
only I
I
have
can
an
eat.
oven, I
I've
could be
never had a
more.
problem with Rice Krispie treats.
What if I just
Oh,
so you
Sardini
can have
says
butter?
hello.
Because if I
Yeah,
make you butter
I
in a
yeah.
little container,
Uh huh.
you can do whatever you want with it then?
Yeah.
All right, I'll bring you some butter.
All
All right,
right.
that's better. I just got a plethora of harvest donated to me. As you know, I'm a patient,
Uh huh.
and I had the medical marijuana station and the information supply station,
Nice.
Sovereign Nation.
Well, I
So
learned
I
at
can
Occupy
begin
LA
to
that
supply medicine for patients.
all use is medical. I was told at
All you
Occupy LA. What's up with the gas mask? I gotta go say hi to Nestor.
I have one in my windowsill.
I finally got a bandana.
Yay! Hey, and we have rainbow flags going to be passed out. I can't wait.
Awesome.
All right, keep your eye open for those.
Okay.
Hey, baby Mr.
Hi.
Okay. I love you.
Oh.
Sarah, look here.
Hi.
Hi. Are you gonna film again?
I'm gonna film. I'm gonna do live stream and flip cam today.
Okay, cool.
Should I get my good shots? I'm speaking today, so.
Okay. I don't have a lot of light. Hi. I'm Patty.
Nice to meet you, Patty.
Hugs, hugs. No handshakes for occupiers.
Wait.
This
Don't
person
you go to
is
Bachelor
fabulous. I don't know his name, but he's
What
fabulous.
school do you go to?
Cut off your
What? No, I don't. Okay, I know I didn't meet you here. I know I didn't meet you here, right? Tea party and all that.
Are you hiding your identity? Give me hugs. Sardini from France is watching. Sardini, this is Nestor. He's wearing a gas mask. I think it's really hot. How much? How much does it cost? Is it your own?
They just gave it to me from work.
At work gave it to you because they love you? Is that why?
Well, one of the members knows that I'm an occupier,
Uh-huh.
and he just gave this to me.
Wow, nice. I finally got a bandana.
His name is Bob.
Bob.
by the way.
Is he hot? Is he single?
He's straight and old.
Oh my God.
Well, just like me.
She's actually 18.
I pretend I'm 18, but
And this is Cornelia.
My name is Cornelia.
Cornelia.
hi, nice to meet you. I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming.
Shireen.
I'm no. This is live on the
Yeah,
internet.
like I said, yeah. People
Yeah.
who can't come, they can watch it. on-
And we have a friend in France. Our friend Sardini from France. I met him.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him on Thursday online.
We've gone global now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I think we're gonna start soon.
All
I can
right.
see a bullhorn.
All right. Well, let me get set up. Hi.
I don't know who that is. John!
Hi. How's it going? Hi. I just want to get a. I just want to get a good seat.
Pardon me?
I'm just trying to get a good seat.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What I have to do is, I was wondering if
Uh-huh.
you want, I don't know what you do with all the stuff you film, but since I got a lot of footage inside of us
Uh-huh.
doing the GA, I was wondering if I should send it to you and you, whatever you use the footage for, you could combine
I don't
that.
really have time.
Okay.
Thank God for live stream because it automatically saves.
Okay.
But I'm in school right now, so I'm not
That's
really.
fine. I just didn't know if you had some place you put it all, or
Well,
you just keep it on the live stream side.
I mean, I've just been storing my stuff. I actually have to buy some backup storage because
I know, isn't that amazing how quickly that's.
I have a
uses
full
up hard
computer.
drive?
I have half of a laptop, and I have a full USB, a big like
Yeah.
portable drive. So I need to go buy like some big giant drive.
Where are you going to school?
Cal State LA.
Awesome. What's your major?
Studio art.
What's that?
Studio art.
Nice.
I have 4 studio classes, and I'm like, no, I haven't got any work. Like week 3 is starting, and I haven't done any work yet. And
I'm like that with school too. Luckily, I have these professors who kind of let me do directed
hi, Diana. They let you do what?
who let me do directed studies
Yeah.
that turn out to be occupied projects.
Doing stuff today during the day.
What are you majoring in? You're in school now?
Literature.
Uh huh.
Yeah, at UCR, at the school here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So now I'm living at the campus.
Well, the chancellor said all the UCR students are lovely and they behaved really nicely, and it was outside agitators who started shit. To me, from my perspective, it was university police who started shit because that's what I saw. So.
And to the extent that students were passionate and not backing down, the UCR kids were just as much doing that as the other UC kids that were there.
Yeah. And all of the other UC people, I don't want to call them kids because I'm a student too,
Yeah, you're right.
and all of the community members all had a right to be there, and they all had everybody has a stake in it. And I'm not a UC student, but maybe I will be.
Inspired by the turnout that day.
Yeah.
And their refusal to back down, and they were told to leave and they're told to disperse. It's great.
Well, I never actually heard a dispersal order because there
Oh, they
was.
said it like 3 or 4
I mean, I heard him
times.
try, but I never actually heard it. But only on the stairs.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But then when they started shooting people and beating
Yeah.
on people, there was no
Precisely
order.
when they sat down.
Yeah.
In the chancellor tried to say they shot people because they felt endangered. How do you feel endangered when people are sitting down? Not, I don't fire.
Hi, Kat. Hi, Diana.
Little metal, lead, little balls that have tiny little balls of lead in them. They're painful.
I think the paint is just there to make it look silly.
Yeah.
Really.
And people sitting.
Is that gonna be at a jail or?
But I don't know. I really enjoyed going and streaming that.
What's that?
I really enjoyed streaming it.
Yeah, it was great. You did an awesome job.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get as close to the cops as I normally do, but
It's kind of hard to get up.
I could have.
I went.
I was getting really nervous.
When they were having that conversation, I went up on the fence to try to film.
Yeah, I saw you up there, and then I was like, "What?" We were like, "He's got a great view. What's his stream?" And so
I had it going.
I was telling people on because I couldn't tweet or anything, but I was telling people on the live stream, "Hey, Anthony's up there streaming." So
I actually got to key moments of violence.
Yeah.
I turned it off then during the standoff.
You know that like the last big standoff that had a couple thousand people in it? I went upstairs and I filmed it from up there, and it was a beautiful shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smart move. Yeah, it's all about finding the right angle, huh?
Yeah.
While still keeping yourself.
But there was one time when I tried to get up close, I tried to get a good angle, and then one of the sheriffs, he started walking straight at me. And then I just hid in the crowd because I was like, why? It just made me paranoid. I know maybe I'm just being paranoid, but
I was so nervous in the meeting because I didn't know if people who sat down were going to get arrested. And I was there to film them and not get arrested, but I didn't know if they were just going to like include me in the group and arrest me.
Okay, Sardini is saying that in France, when we manifest, we sit down, smoke weeds, and run fast. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moi aussi, je fais la même chose.
Yeah, I don't personally smoke weed. I might eat it. But yeah,
I
exactly
never do
the
it
same.
on the occupied job.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the cops to use that as an excuse.
Yeah. Well, last night at the bar, Sardini was telling me not to drink because I'm a war reporter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was sweet, but I'm gonna drink.
Yeah, same thing with drinking. I don't drink anything more than like a drink if I'm going to be at an action.
Yeah.
Because then you get a problem where someone does junk in public, and all of a sudden people were peacefully doing nothing wrong, and they have to.
I told.
Did you see the video of the chancellor talking to Anthony?
Yeah, I was there.
I didn't finish watching it. I only saw like a little bit of it, but I thought he seemed like a real asshole.
He was, especially because I asked him. So you were in the '60s protests against Vietnam. He said that, and I said, well, you saw how much the police overreacted in that era. You'd think you would have learned from that and got your police under control. And he said, I thought they did perfectly. And I said, wait, say that one more time. You think that the reaction of the police, including the number of police, and what they did was appropriate? He said, yeah, I think it was, given the circumstances, appropriate. After that, I didn't even want to talk to him. Like, what do you say to somebody like that?
A
bunch of peaceful student protesters, and you bring in the army, basically?
I mean, I didn't see anything happening. We were just walking forward, and nothing was happening. I couldn't see anything. All I know is I was suddenly being stampeded.
Yeah.
And people were screaming, and I can't imagine what was actually happening to cause that.
Yeah. Are you talking about when you first
When
ran
they
with the
opened
barricades?
fire. No, when they opened fire, when they shot Shine.
Oh, yeah. Nothing. That's the thing. They were just trigger happy. I mean, at that point, everyone was stopped and
Yeah.
actually sitting down when they started firing.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I was walking or standing, but I think I just got there or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, no, I was up on the gate by that time, and when they shot, people had already sat
University
down.
campus, Riverside, the main
Yeah,
administrative building.
yeah.
Or it was the hub, the like student union building. The
It
students
used to be
were.
called the Commons, but that was too commie, so they changed it to the Hub.
So the students kind of just assembled around the different exits, and then they said that they trapped the regents inside, which is to me a lie because they could have come out at any time.
Yeah. Although
And-
that was the plan to make it so that they couldn't leave.
But
But, you
it's
know.
not that they couldn't leave; they
Right.
didn't even try.
Yeah, I think so.
And we have our police friends across the street over there.
From where?
There's a police car over here.
Oh yeah.
Last year we didn't have them over here. I think it's the job of the streamer to know where the police are.
Wow, I think they have to send more because
And we don't see any police at the top, but we know they're
they
there.
were down a minute ago, 2 of them. And I
Yeah.
didn't know they didn't.
Only queer and queer friendly cops allowed.
Yeah.
Tell the
But
cops.
I'm totally cool with them joining us. I just need to make it clear to them that we don't have weapons at our events.
Yeah.
Can I have a seat?
And they haven't joined us since I told them that. Okay, maybe you could read the French she wrote.
Let's see. Très drôle, sardine mou pipi. Whoa, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
In France.
Oh, that's the name of the person. Très drôle means very funny, very cute.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
How do I say it?
We sit down, smoke
drôle.
weed, and run fast. Is
Très-
that what it says?
Très drôle.
Très drôle, yeah. You put the R kind of in the back of your mouth.
I'm just gonna say
Kind of like the
très.
Germans do.
Très drôle.
Yeah.
Très drôle.
Yep.
Drôle. Très
What
drôle.
language is that?
Français.
Oh.
I have someone. We're streaming the streamers.
In a long time.
What's your stream called? What is it?
Spirit animals.
Spirit animals.
Mic check!
Hey John, do you want me to just stream or use this too?
I have somebody videoing, so if
Oh, okay.
you live stream it, I posted it at Occupy Wall Street.
Okay.
And a couple of other places are going to be looking for it.
All right. Uh oh, sorry about my tripod.
Are we going to present this way?
Can I sit right here? Can I sit here?
Oh my God, I feel so encumbered.
Thank you.
Welcome everybody to Occupy LA's first queer themed General Assembly. And just to make it festive and colorful, we have bandanas for everyone. So Nestor is going to pass those out.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Do you have enough light? All I have is this little flashlight.
And we've got candy too. So just
I
pass
don't have
them
much
Oh,
experience.
that looks fabulous.
Good. I don't have much experience.
I'd like to introduce myself. I'm John Weidlinger. I'm with the Queer Affinity Group, and I will be co-facilitating tonight with
Vanessa?
Vanessa. And we have a facilitation team that has worked hard on. Can you all hear me without the? Yes. Great. We have a facilitation team that has worked really hard on putting an agenda together for this assembly, and I'd like everybody to introduce themselves.
I'm Carolina.
I'm John.
I'm Lindsay. I'm Frey.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Julie.
I'm Lucia.
Hi, Lucia.
Jay.
Sarah.
I'm Ryan.
Hey, welcome everybody.
That's Nestor.
And there's Nestor. He's handing out the bandanas and the candy, and he's got a gas mask on just in case.
Audience today, that's why he's wearing the
All right, so we want to have some fun tonight, and we also want to do some education tonight. So we're going to get started with our order of the day, and we're going to start with Sarah, who is going to let us know why we have chosen to call this assembly queer and exactly what that means. Do you want the megaphone?
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be partially educational. So why the term queer? So for most of the 20th century, the term queer was used as a derogatory word to describe so-called effeminate males or males exhibiting uncharacteristic gender behavior. However, this term has been liberated from the oppressive confines of its history. Like other offensive terms, queer was reappropriated / reclaimed by those it sought to demonize. Over the past few decades, queerness and queer theory has radically changed the discussion surrounding gender, identity, normativity, embodiment, and sexual expression. Queer is more of a concept rather than a definitive term with specific meaning. It encompasses many individuals who define or don't define themselves in a multitude of ways. So, what ties this diverse crowd of queers together? Deviance! Queers are social deviants. Deviance can be defined in many ways. For the purposes of this discussion, we will say that deviance is any gesture, behavior, or mode of being that violates social norms or so-called natural mandates. Queers violate many social norms concerning sexual behavior and gender expression, and this is most important, they willfully resist assimilation into the dominant social narrative. So with that being said, the term queer encompasses a wide array of individuals. It can also be thought of as a political concept, and I wanted to, suggest that what we did here at Occupy LA was queering City Hall by existing outside of the normal bounds of political relationships and what is dictated to us as normative modes of engagement in politics and in our social interactions. And I think that that is a really good way to think about queer and familiarize yourself with that concept. The end.
All right.
How many people do you think are
I don't
here?
need the megaphone, but I do want to tell you all that it is day 113. Yay! Very exciting.
I don't know. I was guessing
And
50.
also, I just wanted to call if there's anyone who needs translation.
Maybe there's 50 or 80 people here.
Ella no habla nada.
I'm gonna kill you.
Okay, I don't see anyone. Great. So we're also going to start off tonight with a couple of different ways in which we're speaking out. So you're going to hear some personal stories later. Right now we're going to do some historical context. We're going to put this conversation in its position historically. And there's two parts to this. We're going to start with Lucia Chappelle. Do you want to?
Yes. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Lucia Chappelle, who's been an activist in the LGBT movement for, we'll just say decades. And she's going to give us a little bit of history of our movement and some perspective on, like where we've come from.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
I don't think I need it.
All right.
I'm pretty loud. I could not be happier that I came out and became a part of the LGBT movement in the early 70s. It was the perfect time. It was just after Stonewall, a whole new movement was being born, and yet we were able to still reach backward and know the pioneers who had come before us. For those of you who don't know, there was a gay lesbian movement in the United States and in fact around the world before Stonewall. There were organizations like the Daughters of Bilitis. There was the Mattachine Society. These people were laying the groundwork, coming out of the closet when it was absolutely deadly to do so. It stayed deadly for some time to come. When this new movement started, we did have organizations that had already been born. Metropolitan Community Church began 9 months before Stonewall. It was a remarkable statement of saying God loves everybody. To this day, the largest, let me tell you, the largest LGBT organization in the world is Metropolitan Community Church, putting the lie to people of faith who say that we cannot share in that same kind of spirituality. And yet we have paid dearly for it. Over the years, many MCCs were burned down. Right here in Los Angeles at 22nd and Union, the first property to be purchased by a gay organization in the United States was burned to the ground. In New Orleans in 1973, a place where our people were meeting for worship was firebombed. 30 people were killed in the middle of, while they were singing, "United we stand, divided we fall, and if our backs should ever be against the wall, we'll be together, you and I." That year went on. The religious right movement that you see today began as a reaction against us. Anita Bryant, the Moral Majority, Orange Tuesday, these things laid the groundwork for the kind of Tea Party movements that we are seeing today. And it all started because of the fear of us, the fear of our sexuality. Sex scares people. This is why we are here today. So we began working through all the persecution. We built an incredible culture. We built an incredible movement. We had, for one thing, we had our own independent media. We had our own newspapers. We had radio programs. Even going back into the late 50s, we were on the air, speaking our truth when our truth could not be spoken. We began chipping away at all the different kinds of discrimination that we faced, from the employment discrimination, the sodomy laws. We had to change sex laws because it wasn't just about whether or not you were busted in your bedroom. It wasn't just about whether or not you were busted in a park. But because sodomy laws were on the books, you could be fired from your job. You could be thrown out of your housing. You were certainly thrown out of your families, your intimate relations. All ended because of who you were, because these kinds of laws were on the books. So we changed those. We were able to get in and change those when people said that we could not do so. Then, after so many successes, after a building of a movement, then came AIDS. And in many ways, a lot of us thought things were over. People were dying in the streets, and our government, our genocidal government, would not even speak the word AIDS. Thousands of people died and we buried. You want to know what it was like? I have a friend who was a clergy person in MCC who went off the deep end after doing 14 funerals in 2 weeks. That's what it was like during the AIDS epidemic. That is what it is still like in so much of the world. But we learned something. We learned how to take care of ourselves. We learned how to take care of each other. We began battling the healthcare system. We began fighting the insurance companies. We began dealing with the drug companies who were exploiting us. who were taking our lives away from us for money, for profit. We began those movements. We began movements at that time that were based on the politics of survival, the politics of daily living. Now you might sneer, and sometimes I will admit that I sometimes sneer at the marriage equality movement, because as a feminist, I had some misgivings about marriage. But what it was about daily living. The marriage equality movement came about when people saw their lovers die and saw their families come and take everything they owned away because they had no legal right. That's what marriage equality was about. Because people who loved someone from another country could not bring them here the way other people could. That's what marriage equality was about. It was about the politics of daily living. And believe me, our movement, the leaders of our movement told us, don't bother with that. Don't do marriage equality. You'll never win. But it was the people, it was the 99% who didn't realize that, who said, we're going to sue for marriage equality anyway. And as that movement began to build, and the mainstream part of the movement began to see that this could really lead to success, they jumped on the bandwagon afterward. Because people needed help just to live their daily lives. It's all brought us now, and I will end with this, where I see a division in our movement, because we have a very strange kind of 99 and 1 in our movement. It's not about money, it's about power. It's about the people who put on the business suits and go to the suites, who put down the people who march in the streets. That dichotomy is still with us. It still tears our movement apart. It still has us in a place where we don't know what to do about Proposition 8, where we don't know what to do about a lot of other kinds of issues that we have to face, because the difference in how to go about facing them is so strong, because the understanding of who is with the 1% and who is with the 99% still continues to undermine our movement. Our future lies in understanding the class divisions, understanding the ethnic divisions, understanding the consciousness divisions in our community, so that we can grow, so that we can become stronger, so that we can really turn this world upside down. Upside down. Yeah! That's an applause line.
Yeah!
Yeah, baby.
Thank you, Lucia.
Lucia, thank you for that inspiring, just brief explanation of our history. And there's a lot more to learn. And I hope people will take the opportunity to do that. We're here at Occupy LA to take our movement back and to bring it back to the people, to take our movement back and to bring it back to all of the queer people who have been oppressed and marginalized by some of the mainstream movements. It's time to radicalize. It's time to, get out of making deals with the Democratic Party and go back to the grassroots and demand full social and economic justice for all people. And as queer people, we stand in solidarity with everyone who is oppressed and really go with the slogan of an oppression to one is an oppression to all of us. And we need to keep that in mind.
Next, we're going to have David, Angie, and Sarah, who are members of the Gay Straight Alliance at downtown Magnet High School, talk to us about their experience right now as our queer youth perspective.
David, you want the megaphone? Can anyone hear me? All right. All right. Go? Okay. So it's pretty funny. If someone had told me about 5 years ago that I could walk through my own hallway and have a man about as big as I am, from a big boy, as big as I am, plays basketball, football, baseball, will come and hug me first, come and acknowledge my existence, I think I'd probably tell you you're a big damn liar. But it's funny because in my reality, that's what happens to me every day. And it's because of a GSA. Now, what is GSA? It is Gay Straight Alliance, a place where gay kids and straight kids, homosexuals or queer, can come and feel like as if there is a safe place. You know, I bet 50 years ago, GSA was something that, no, we're not going to hang out with gay kids. They're queers. We don't hang out with queers. You know, we don't do that. We're straight. Straight. And it's pretty funny because that was holding a lot of ignorance and fear. You know, ignorance for the people who didn't understand, didn't know. A lot of kids didn't understand. And as humans, what we don't know scares us. And for the kids, for the queer kids, they were afraid. How could you tell your mom, your dad, your friends, I'm scared, I'm different, I'm not like all the other kids and boys and girls? You know? Sorry, I get emotional. Those kids, they turn to adults, and that can then later on affect their lives. And that's a problem. That's oppression. It's a oppression that no one else sees. And it could lead to a lot of things. You know, suicide, alcoholism, drugs, personal abusement. That's not fun. You know, and also, without a GSA in schools before, you know, you having your community being acknowledged, beatings. I was never beaten. I can only imagine growing up in a school where you would be afraid to go to school because kids would sock you, beat you. The stories that I've heard in places where they don't have that type of community. That is scary, and that is a thought beyond belief. I can only imagine what it must be like to go to a school, a place where you are supposed to learn and to develop as a human being, and you are being oppressed on a daily basis. You are not being able to grow up and be mature. You're being oppressed, and that's not fun for anyone. Being a teenager is hard as hell. You know, it's not fun being beaten and trying to figure out if you're gay or straight. You know, I can say from experience. And also, internal pain. Now, I know that might not come up a lot, but that's a lot of a mental abuse. You know, as a teenager, even me growing up in a world where it is more open, in a place where I can walk down the street and be gay, I still have a lot of internal pain. There still are a lot of issues that I have to hold inside. And, I mean, I had it pretty easy. I can only imagine what it was like for the kids who didn't have that. Who growing up, they couldn't tell their friend next to them, hey, I'm gay. You know, I can only imagine what it must be like going to a school and maybe there were two friends that were gay. Maybe by just chance, together they could be with each other and be strong. But instead, they had no clue. And so then they had to hide from each other. Not being able to share that personal bond that maybe they could share for the rest of their lives. An experience that some kids today are able to have. Now, today, GSA. I can say now, GSA is predominant. You know, I mean, it's not where I want it to be, but it's there. I guess in my school, GSA is a place where kids can come and say, hey, you know, I'm gay. I like guys. I'm lesbian, I like girls. I'm transsexual. I don't identify with being a guy or being a girl. And you know what? Look at them and go, hey, you know, I like that. Let's party sometime. You know, let's party. Let's have a good time. Because at the end of the day, we're human beings. We're not animals. And in the end result, I go to school where, hey, I can wear a dress. Actually, I'm thinking about running for prom queen. How many of you guys agree? I look good in, pastels, good champagne gown. And look at this result. look at this. This is actually a physical result. You can actually say that there are teenagers. They respond. They don't care if you're gay, straight, an elephant. Well, if you want to be an elephant. They care about you and who you are as a human being. And that's what really matters. And that's all I'm saying.
Right. Thank you, David. You know, I just wanna say one thing. Being an oldster, you know, and having grown up in an environment where, you know, I really thought I was the only one. You know, and I didn't know. One of the great, you know, I'm so happy that you guys were able to join us today. It's one of the great barriers that we have faced as, you know, like queer people, as LGBT people, is being able to talk to our youth and be supportive of our youth, because we're fucking recruiting. You know? You know, and it's a really painful thing to grow up in an environment where, you know, like, you're not born into your community. You have to find your community. And, you know, like, thank God that we finally reached a point where, you know, like, we can work with queer youth and do that openly and do that, you know, honestly, and spare people some of the pain that, you know, like, young people face even today. You know, like, 14-year-old kids are, you know, like, committing suicide over being bullied and over being harassed and being over taunted for being different. So we've got a lot of work to do, but, you know, you know, I'm so proud of you guys, and I really think that you know, like, the movement of creating GSAs in, you know, like, the high school environment is, you know, like, critical to educating people and creating a better world for all of us. Well, why don't you do that, since I've been talking so much.
Okay. We have a few more people who are going to be speaking tonight, and Carolina, did you guys decide on an order, or do you care? Okay. Okay, so we're going to hear from some of our transgender community members. And we're going to start.
Sorry, I can't.
Okay.
Mic check.
Mic check. I'm trying to organize too much. Transgender voice. First one is Carolina.
First one is Carolina. Woo! Do you want the microphone, Carolina?
I don't know. Does everybody hear me okay? I don't want to stand in front of our stage people here. I am Carolina, and let me just, is this on? I don't know. Yeah, there you go. I'm Carolina. Hi, how are you? Carolina Lynn, or some of you may know me Lynn. My birth name, which is good. This is a female name. And basically, I guess we're going to talk about our community, but I want to get into a disclaimer. This is not real fur. The weather. If a trans woman has fur, we'll usually, if it were real, we'd probably sell it for some medical procedure. She's a trans woman with a fur, it's probably fake anyway. That's okay. What about the trans community in the United States? It's been estimated that we're somewhere between 2 and 5%. That may not be accurate. We don't know for sure, but let's say that it is, and there's 311,800,000 people totally in the United States. 2% would come out to something like 2,236,000. That's 6,236,000.
Let's use the megaphone.
Yeah,
Is it not working?
Working a little bit.
My voice is usually pretty loud in the phone.
Hold it to your mouth.
You gotta press the button.
You gotta press it.
Right
You gotta
here?
press it.
Yeah. Okay. So you didn't hear that?
Yeah.
All right.
Closer. Kiss it.
All right.
Yeah.
Now you say it.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Okay, now I understand. You everybody answers. Okay. It's like you're, okay. So 2% is 6,236,000. If we're 5% of the population, that's transgender people, it's something like 15,559,000. And that maybe 5% is more accurate than 2%, because I know from some of our sisters that we have sisters from every
area of the world in our community and brothers. Okay, we're going to hear from our brothers in a minute, but for the trans population of trans women, I think they're talking about 30,000 out in Thailand, which has a population of 66 million as opposed to our population of 311 million. But 30,000 out would be something like about 4.5%, something like that, of the total population. So it's quite likely that we're accurately somewhere in the 5%. Now, they're more out in that culture because they're more accepting. They're not a Western culture. The United States is, and as other speakers have said, that makes us less popular and less able to come out. So you may not see, and you might be surprised if there's something like 15 million in the United States that are transgender. And that may be because a lot of us are afraid to come out. I know I went through that. I went to USC, and you just didn't do that back in the 70s. I met my first trans woman, but she was homeless out on the street near USC. So I sort of got the position that this is probably not a good time to go out when you're starting a career. So, for a lot of years I was kind of hidden, and we would just we didn't have internet then. We'd go to magazines in sex shops at the back of the bookstores to see, oh, our queer sign has gone down. What did the trans woman do with the queer sign? I gotta be watching my words here. Because sometimes we can't use some words, but in any case, it took a while to just find other people. We would go in these magazines to see where people were meeting. At the time, you'd have to reply by mail on a PO box or whatever, and you see little ads for clubs or whatever. And I found out where the clubs were and where you went in Hollywood and where you went in the Valley. There were like 2 clubs we could go to, and that's how we started meeting people. Well, it was a wonderful community to meet and learn more about who we are and where we are. As I say, we come in every age group, every ethnicity, all ages, all political persuasions. Believe it or not, we do have some fairly conservative people that are trans. We are, from all over the world, but it's a wonderful community. I mean, there are some sad things about it. We have a day of remembrance every November 20th, which basically is to memorialize transgender people that are killed, both men and women, all over the world. Some of them are, like I say, as far away as Asia. Some of them are right around the block. As it happened this year, like 3-4 days before November 20th, I think the 17th, a young African-American trans woman was just shot down in cold blood on a street right here in Hollywood. Supposedly one of the more safe places for us, but it didn't stop the hate crime from happening. It motivated me to kind of look at how many people that have died, not all of them by violence, some by illness. Like I remember the AIDS crisis for when I first started going out those bars in the 80s, and I can remember one year, like 84, 85, the bar room was full of trans women. At that time, most of them older than me, as opposed to now when I'm the oldest one. But within 3 or 4 years, like 88, there were like 10 people in the same club. Everybody in the whole bar room that I had known over the years had been wiped out. That's how serious it was when the AIDS first hit in the 80s. But I went back to count what my thought was, and it looked like there was one memorial for a trans person every year that I've been out, like 24 out of 25 years. So that's the sad part. But the good part is that we're a creative, growing, wide community. We represent every group that there is in this society. We're here to stay. We're more out than ever. We're getting into office. We're in every kind of profession. We're not just in sex work like the stereotype goes. And we're moving forward. We are part of this progressive movement the Occupy movement represents. And we want to work with you, and we want you to work with us. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Nope, the button's on the lock, so just speak. Speak. You don't even have to do anything. Nope. Maybe you're pressing the lock. Speak.
All right, there we go. So again, my name is Jake.
Keep it
I
close
work
to your
over at
mouth.
the LA
Put it
Gay.
right to your mouth.
Closer.
I work over at the LA Gay and Lesbian Center in Hollywood area, and I've been working a long time with the trans community. I myself am transgender, and I really like to come out and just educate folks on transgender issues because I know people have heard about transgender, but maybe they don't know some things like. Um, do most folks know the difference between sexual orientation and gender identity? I think like, let's see a show of hands. Yeah, good, good. Oh, great, great, great. Because a lot of times I go out to groups, even LGBT groups, and they're not sure. So I like to just clarify, gender identity is about how you perceive yourself as male, female, or something other. And sexual orientation is about who you're attracted to. The same sex, opposite sex, both. Maybe neither. Maybe you're asexual. There's certainly people who are asexual. So I really like to clarify that because sometimes people kind of look at trans people like we're kind of super homosexuals. Like I was so butch. Okay. Like I was so.
There you go.
All right. Like somebody might look at a feminine gay man and think he's so female he might as well transition into a woman. But that's not really the case. You know. A lot of folks are born and at an early age identify themselves as another gender than they were assigned at birth. So that's kind of help if anybody had any questions around that issue. But I do work with a lot of folks in my role in social services. So certainly, like Carolina said, trans people can come from all walks of life. Be any socioeconomic background. A lot of the folks that I work with definitely are connected to this very movement because they're coming in to see me. There's some really serious stuff that goes on in the trans community that people might not be aware of. I think that there have been national studies actually that have come out recently, showing that trans people are the unemployment rate among the transgender community is double that of the general population. Right? About half the states in the country, you're protected at your work because of your sexual orientation, but less than half will protect you based on your gender identity. So that means in most states in this country, you could be fired for being transgender. And even though we have protections here in California, I'll tell you, discrimination doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily prevented by the laws, right? People know how to discriminate against you without it being obvious, without it being blatant. And that's no different for the trans community. And I work with a program at the Gay and Lesbian Center where we help transgender women find jobs. There's no end of our clientele list. I mean, we get people calling us every day. It's really, really difficult for a lot of transgender women to find employment. So we're working with folks on a regular basis to find transgender-friendly employers. We're trying to help them. We're trying to help them in terms of just basic needs. Sometimes it's about getting housing because a lot of times they're turned away from housing. There's also other social services that are needed. The transgender community, some of the real barriers that people face include like an outrageous rate of HIV and AIDS infection. We see a lot of advertising and outreach campaigns for gay men who are at a high risk of HIV and AIDS infection. Also bisexual males and men who just have sex with men. But a lot of people aren't aware that there's also a significant rate of HIV and AIDS in the transgender community because so many trans women can't get jobs. They end up on the streets doing sex work just to pay their rent. And that's a lot of the clients I work with. So they're very much tied and impacted by the oppression that we all face in terms of our employment, our housing, just trying to make ends meet. And along with that unemployment and the HIV infection, and the housing issues, there's a high number of housing issues. A lot of transgender people can't even go to a homeless shelter because they're not sure where to put them. If there's a transgender woman, she might be placed with men because they don't recognize her as a woman. And there she is. She's at risk for harm and violence or just generally feeling devalued because she's not being recognized as a woman in the shelter and being put with men. And I'll tell you, we've done work with some of the shelters right here around this very neighborhood to try and help improve that situation. But for the most part, most shelters, it's really difficult for transgender domestic violence shelters. A lot of them aren't going to take a transgender woman. So despite like whatever legal protections are in place, it really takes people to speak up and really push for the enforcement of those laws, and to have laws created where they don't exist. But you know, you can never let up. You can just never let up, because these issues will persist. And also, I think we have a transgender, young transgender individual here who's going to tell you a little bit more personal story on the trans male side of things. But I just kind of wanted to share information with you, and you can find me over at the Gay and Lesbian Center if you want to find out more information or have questions. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Gray.
Hi, Gray.
Can you hear me all right? Yeah, mic check, everybody? Good?
Mic check.
Yeah, alright, cool.
No, that means louder.
No, it means louder.
Oh, I need to go louder, alright.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yep, that's good. Yep.
Okay, I guess I'm coming from not as much statistical, but just personal observations, and also from somewhat of a queer theory was mentioned at the beginning of this, and that's kind of my background as a student. I'm thinking constantly about gender boundaries and what it means to police identity, and what identity means to people and communities, especially in our movement, and what I think how damaging identity can be if it's enforced. So since we are already talking about privilege, and I hope that's an ongoing discussion in the occupation movement, we're in a perfect position to discuss privilege within the movement itself, differences between people who are... Mic check, yes.
Hold it right up against your mouth.
Huh? Yeah?
Hold it right up against your mouth.
Alright, I'm gonna make out with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the mic!
I just want to say, okay, so like in the LGBT movement, it seems that oftentimes T gets left behind, because we have LGBT and it's an affixed, it's a letter that gets stamped onto the end, and I want to remind all of us that it seems in the LGBT movement, trans rights are a good 30 to 50 years behind. So for those of us in the LGBT community, just to not forget that. Let's see. One of the crucial concerns, I think, one of the central concerns for a lot of trans people, myself included, I spend a lot of time thinking about this, is passing and what it means to pass. If you're born a certain sex and you don't feel that that's the way you identify, and you want to pass as a different way, that's an anxiety that's constantly on your mind. So in a movement where we're considering our bodies and our vulnerability, people who are arrestable and who aren't, it's a perfect opportunity to reflect on the vulnerability that trans people face every day walking down the street, or existing day to day with people they're not sure. Maybe I get privilege from looking like a man, until they realize I'm maybe not actually a man. So there are privileges and risks associated with passing, and that's particular to the trans community. I just have points. I don't know if I have a general narrative.
They're beautiful points.
Also, this is a good opportunity to consider how the logic that oppresses people when they have to identify as this or that. Transgender is a spectrum. Some people are committed to identifying as male or female, and I guess I'm sort of in between at this moment, but it's all changing, and I hope we all can reflect on our gender identities as fluid. But the administrative system does not. You get arrested, you get put in the male or the female section. And that kind of logic that's harmful in the administrative system is the same kind of logic that's binding us, that we've all hopefully banded here together to fight in the occupation, is that which restricts people and categorizes them. And that's why I want to call attention to the occupation itself as a queer movement. Like Sarah was saying at the beginning, we cleared the space of, well, had, until the fences were put up. And that's where identity starts to be erected, and boundaries and people are policed at that point. So perhaps just a general reminder to not concern ourselves as much with image and identity, but being real people and emerging together. That's queer, you know. Starting out with relationships and then ending up with something that you couldn't have ever conceived of as an image to begin with. I think that's the fundamentally queer thing about the occupation. And that's just, you know, that's my... my meager perspective.
Can I actually just say one thing? You are incredibly hot. I've been dying to say that the whole night. I just had to say that. Okay, I'm leaving. Sorry.
I think we know who won the popularity.
Yes. Okay. So one of the things that I think we all need to be mindful of at the General Assembly, at actions that we take in our community, is to keep this a safe and welcoming space for all people. I have been disappointed that there haven't been more of our transgender allies and friends at the occupation. And I think we have to reflect, on our movement and how welcoming we are to the whole diverse community that's out there. I know that there are queer and LGBT caucuses in all the Occupy movements. And one of the things that we want to do tonight is share a statement from the Occupy Wall Street Queer Caucus that talks about our issues in terms of social and economic issues, right in line with what this movement is talking about. And to do that, John is going to read the statement from Occupy Wall Street from the Queer Caucus. Do you want the megaphone, John? Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
It says the queer LGBTIQ-A2Z issues are economic issues. That's all of our issues are economic issues. Discrimination is legal in most states against LGBT people in housing, credit, employment, marriage, healthcare, education, etc. There are no federal non-discrimination laws that include sexual orientation and gender identity. Social biases and discrimination persist, affecting virtually every aspect of life and economic security. Homelessness. 20 to 40% of homeless youth are LGBT. Of that, 73 were rejected by their own families. 20% of transgender people have been homeless at some point. Facing rejection 29% of the time, harassment 55%, and sexual assault 22% at shelters.
Are we passing the document out? We made enough copies for who else did?
That was Mr.
Ryan,
Straub.
could you pass those out, please, so everybody can read along? Ryan?
Yes.
Do you have the Occupy Wall Street?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry to interrupt, John, but we made enough copies for everybody to have a copy of this and follow along with it, because we believe these statistics and this information is so important for everyone in our movement to have. So, Julie, give me some.
Okay, keep going. I'll get it.
Continue?
Yeah.
In marriage. Any of you who've been watching the GOP debates lately, you know gay marriage is going to be the big wedge issue again this election. Denied legal recognition and economic security from 1,108 federal benefits, including immigration and pensions. 39 states have constitutional amendments or laws against same-sex marriage. Binational couples are routinely separated. Within families, LGBT couples are disproportionately poor and low income. Compared to heterosexual couples, gay couples are often denied adoption, denying them a family, and those children a loving home. In employment, 44% of LGBT people and 66% of trans people are fired or not hired because of their identity and are routinely fearful at work. Education. 61% of LGBT people and 40% of trans people felt unsafe at school. 20% of LGBT people and 12% of trans people experienced assault, being punched, kicked, or injured with a weapon. Suicide. LGBT people are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, and youth are 5 times more likely, representing 33% of all youth suicides. 41% of transgender people have attempted suicide. Side note, I'm sure we're all aware of the epidemic of teen suicide we've had in the LGBT community in the last year. Jamie Rodemeyer being one that comes to mind. In health, LGBT people are 6 times more likely to have multiple mental stress disorders due to discrimination. 25% lack health insurance, twice that of heterosexual counterparts. Single, childless, HIV-positive people ineligible for Medicaid unless disabled, thus denied the exact drugs to prevent the disability's onset. Transgender people who need hormones or gender reassignment surgery and cannot afford it are not covered by most, if any, insurance. Anxiety, depression, suicide, genital mutilation, and discrimination result. Politics. Politicians continually use LGBT issues to distract from the general economic oppression and corporate corruption of government and political parties. Support for LGBTQ non-discrimination laws is vital to our economic well-being, but this is only the beginning. Respect for our community is needed in all aspects of our lives. Equality is just the beginning.
Thank you, John. I think it's really important to acknowledge that we as a community, queer people as a community, are actively engaged in occupations all around the country. There's a mythology of the, upper middle class, white, gay, male couple that is privileged. The reality and the experience of many queer people in this society is one of marginalization, is one of poverty, and is one of oppression. And we're here to join in a movement that is fighting against those oppressions for all people. And we're part of this movement.
Yeah. That's 76% of it.
We're going to break out into groups in a few minutes, but before we do that, we're going to model for you the kind of discussion that we're going to be having. The very familiar topic of privilege is getting broken down in a very particular way tonight. And we're going to be talking about heteronormativity and heterocentrism. So Sarah's going to introduce that topic to us. Give us... Oh, you're starting it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. John's going to start that. Then we're going to get some definitions from Sarah, and then you're going to hear a few testimonials from some of the team up here as a model for the kind of discussion that are going to happen in the breakout group. And then we'll break out. So that's the plan.
Thanks. Thanks, Vanessa. And we're kind of, playing it by ear as we go along. But I've given some thought to this, and I just want to, just do a general discussion on privilege, because it's something that we talk about a lot in our movement. We read it at every GA in our solidarity statement when we say, recognizing individuals' inherent privilege and the influence it has on all interactions. But how often do we really think about it or pay attention to what that statement means in terms of our own interactions and lives? What exactly do we mean by this privilege thing? I would say that privilege basically boils down to the idea that some people are just better than others, that they deserve more, that they have the right to dominate, that their ideas and their way of living are just better. They deserve it because they are inherently better. They deserve it because they have earned it. This concept, the concept of privilege or betterness, runs through all aspects of our culture. It is the ultimate idea that justifies the existence of the 1%. It is the concept that rationalizes oppression, and it often expresses itself in individualism. How often have you heard, every man for himself, may the best man win, he's a self-made man, etc. And those are already inherently gender privileged statements in that they define humanity as male. I would ask you to all think back to your childhood, where we are first indoctrinated into the world of privilege on the playground and in the school, where we begin to learn the rules of competition and that some of us are winners and some of us are losers. I ask you to think back on high school. Which one of us didn't suffer pain and humiliation in the game of status, popularity, and social stratification? It's a brutal environment where the socialization of jockeying for position is learned and practiced. And there's all sorts of institutionalized learning lessons, cliques, popularity, the prom, or whatever they call it today, grades, dating, looks, sports, etc., etc. And we learn very early that we can be tarred by association. So you'd better watch out who you're hanging out with, who you're seen with. You better make fun of the right people, lest you fall into the category of reject or outcast. One of the key lessons we learn in the toolkit of establishing and maintaining our own status or position is to ostracize and make fun of the lesser privileged, the fat kid, the ugly kid, the retard, the fag, the slut, the loser, the retard. I don't even know how it all plays out in today's high school culture, but I know it continues to play out, and it varies from community to community. But the rules are always the same. Who's better, who's cool, and who's a reject. And we learn these lessons not only within our local environment and set of peers, but in the larger social constructs of gender, race, class, gender appropriateness, and sexual orientation, attractiveness, intelligence, quote, who's the one most likely to succeed? You name it, you get the idea. These are lessons we walk into adulthood with, and we pass them on to the next generation. Some of us succeed better than others, but we are all scarred by the struggle and the knowledge that one's position can always fall, that the struggle to stay on top, to be better, is always subject to change, and oftentimes beyond any individual control, although we are all told we are individually responsible for the course of our lives. We learn to not trust each other and to compete. We learn to be individuals, and we forget how to function in community, and we wonder why we feel lonely. Now, before I turn it, and we come into this movement with all this socialization, and then we wonder why we have such a hard time with the idea of consensus, community, and collective action, and why it's so hard to realize. So I believe we need to think about our own experiences and be aware of them, and to recognize that no one has escaped the privilege game, and that we all come to this with a mixed bag of real life experiences, and that all of us have experienced being privileged in one arena or another, and that we've all experienced being marginalized. We've all been taught to value individualism above all else, to fight for our own status and position, to insist that we are right. We need to keep this in mind as we learn to function in community and collective action, and we need to each check our own inherent individualism and privilege. We need to put our solidarity statement into action. We have an opportunity here to re-examine the rules of the game and to try to create something different. Hard work for each and every single one of us, but I'm an optimist, and I believe that by recognizing privilege exists, being conscious of our own use of it and checking each other in honest and compassionate ways. If we can listen to each other, we can perhaps learn to relate to each other better and function in true community as opposed to individualized competition as to who is right and who is wrong. I think we need to have lots more conversations as an assembly and as in a movement about what privilege means and how it manifests in all of our interactions with each other. Now, before I turn it over to Sarah to talk a bit about heteronormativity as a privilege, I'd suggest that privilege manifests itself in many, many ways, and that people are marginalized in many, many ways. So tonight, we are just focusing on one aspect relevant to our queer theme today. We will by no means do more than scrape the surface of the privilege investigation, and I hope there'll be more privilege investigation in different areas in this assembly. I'd like to introduce the idea that one way privilege manifests is in the concept of what is normal and what is abnormal. Now that's a big topic, but one that queer people face on a daily basis, because we are definitely pigeonholed into the category of that which is abnormal, that which is aberrant, shameful, sinful, secretive, closeted, not for public display, not for around the children, not for polite society. We have, through great struggle and individual courage, come out of the closet and identified ourselves and demanded our right to exist as we are. But we continue to live in a world where heteronormativity is the norm, and in which our voices, our experiences, our desires, our ways of expressing ourselves are somehow, at best, not legitimate or not as important as other struggles, are divisive or a distraction to the movement, or, at worst, are sinful, aberrant, destructive of, quote, family values and need to be shut down. Well, today we are speaking up. A number of us will share our own personal experiences with you. But before that, Sarah will provide us some additional context on how heteronormative privilege marginalizes our voices. Sarah.
So that was really beautiful, what you just read. No, I think I can. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so what John read was very beautiful.
Here.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a little definition of what heteronormativity is, and then just give a few small examples, and then that will be followed by other people giving personal examples. So in this society, heteronormativity can be most simply defined as a relationship that consists of two people, a man and a woman, who are both assumed to be, in their inherent gender, complementary partners. So they both possess things that, when they are united, create like the perfect and beautiful whole. One thing that is critical in understanding privilege is that privilege is often invisible to those who are experiencing it. And so discussions like this help us to understand those things that we may not even realize are privileges. So for instance, telling a friend about a crush. This is a conversation that many adolescents have without much thought, or probably without any thought about privilege. But the ease of sharing a crush, discussing one's feelings, being able to freely engage in dialogue about one's romantic or sexual inclinations is a social privilege almost unquestionably reserved for discussions of boy-girl couplings. And this is a subtle way in which privilege operates in our daily interpersonal experiences, and it may seem insignificant, but it's one of the ways that oppression is recreated in our interactions every single day. And I'm sure that some of the kids from the GSA know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, another good example is displaying a picture that discloses one's queerness in the workplace or in the home or in political organizations. And this is something that comes up a lot for people. Maybe many of you that are in relationships or in heteronormative relationships have no problem putting a picture of your significant other on your desk at work. But if you're in a relationship with more than one person, or if you're in a gay relationship, you don't feel that same comfort of sharing yourself. Or you might just be told that that's not appropriate in the workplace or in the school environment. Another thing is having a normative gendered body. This is something that is very much, I think, like race, where you're born with a physical presentation, a body that immediately, if it is a visibly queer body, you will be ridiculed and ostracized from a very early age. In some cases, as an infant, you will have your body subjected to corrective cosmetic surgery, which is, as someone said earlier, basically genital mutilation. It's not a medical procedure, it's cosmetic, and it is performed so that your body complies with idealized understandings of what gender should look like. Another thing is being able to engage in normative reproductive practices, which are sentimentalized in our heteronormative culture. And then finally, being free from interrogation about your sexual identity or expression. Many people in heteronormative relationships are never questioned about why they are dating who they're dating, or why they are straight, or what made them straight. And people that are in like a variety of different relationship configurations that are outside of the normal bounds of what your relationship is supposed to look like also face this similar interrogation, and it happens all the time, and it's exhausting. But this is something that is not just unique to queer people. I think that this is part of the larger human experience, and it's part of having an identity that is marginalized. And so, with that said, hopefully people have a better understanding of what heteronormativity is and what it might look like in the world.
Thank you, Sarah.
We're going to have a few people from our team up here share their personal experiences with heteronormativity and heterocentrism, and then we're going to ask you to get into breakout groups and share your own. So we're going to start with Lindsay, who is going to share a perspective that hasn't quite had a voice here tonight yet. And also, Cody, are you timekeeping?
No.
Okay, we're going to keep these to about 2 minutes. So okay, can I use this?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the side. Click it. Hold the clicker down. Yeah. And you're talking into the wrong side.
Yep.
Hi.
Are you okay holding that?
I'm okay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. It's interesting how you say use normal and abnormal, because in my life I'm often able to get away with appearing normal, and enjoy a lot of privilege because of how I look, but in fact I am a bisexual, communist, sex worker, drug user, and on top of all of that, polyamorous. I have a girlfriend and a husband, and we're in a triad together. And what's interesting about that is I can go out with Vanessa and we're accepted almost everywhere. I can go out with Anthony, we're accepted literally everywhere. And when the three of us try to go somewhere, or if I bring up the fact that I have multiple partners, all of a sudden we are weirdos and not accepted into any group, except for other polyamorous people, but even they are kind of weird about each other. So, I don't know how much more time. I was going to give an example from my recent, an example of this recently. I went to the doctor at my school to get an STD test. I didn't have any symptoms, but I had sex with a few people in the last few months, and I wanted to be safe. And so I go in there, and she says, "Do you have a partner right now?" And I said, "Yeah, I have two committed partners." And and then she said, "Well, okay, well, why are you getting tested?" And I said, "Well, I've had sex with a few new people in the past few months, and I just wanted to be safe." And so she's already kind of confused. And then I brought up the fact that I wanted to talk about getting an IUD. And she's like, and so she very rudely is explaining to me why, when you have a lot of multiple sex partners, you shouldn't get an IUD because you're at a higher risk for getting STDs. And then she goes, in the past, you had to be married to get an IUD. And I said, "Bitch, I am married!" I didn't say that, but I said, "I am married." And then she was really scared and confused. I think she thought about that for a while. Okay, do you want to say something?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, up until recently, and still today, people would assume that if you're a guy, then you want women, and if you're a woman, then you want guys. And luckily, that's changed a lot. It's still there in various places. But just on the subject of privilege, careful when you're around, not just when you're around poly people, but careful about saying, "I have a partner" or "I have a spouse" as a reason for why you're not available, because that could be insulting to poly people, right? That's not their experience of the world. So just as you wouldn't say, "I'm a guy, I naturally like girls," don't say, "I'm married, I naturally am not looking," right? Because that leaves out a whole percentage of the population, right? Right, monogamy. In the discussion of heteronormativity, monogamy bias is one of the problems that this culture faces, and it's not even very common throughout history, monogamy. Thanks.
The reason people give is, "I'm in love." That's why I'm monogamous.
We are
I'm in
too.
love.
We are too.
And so the idea with polyamory is you can be in love with more than one person at the same time. And it's not problematic. Stunningly, nobody dies.
Yeah. The sun still rises the next day.
Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Tim.
David.
Jeannie Dean's watching.
Pardon?
Jeannie Dean's watching. Tim and Jeannie and my friend Sardini from France. And some quiet people.
And remember to suck it.
Hi. Hi. Ah.
I just thought I might talk about people driving by and telling me to suck their dick. I thought that might be good.
Hi. Ow. Ow.
Towards
Okay,
us.
next
Face
one
it
over here.
towards us. Face it towards us so that we can hear it.
I have to push this button.
How about this? How about all you do is suck it?
Oh, okay. Woo, this is nice. All right. All right. So, this is going to be an awkward story because, like, there's people in between, but you know what? I'm used to it. All right. So, here's the deal. So, I talk about it all the time, but I feel like this is, you guys are cool and I want to talk to you guys about this. So, my personal story about being marginalized is a personal one. Obviously. Growing up, it was hard. I'm a single child, and I live with divorced parents. And of course, my dad's black, my mom's Hispanic, so you grow up feeling different. Well, growing up, I didn't know what to do because since being the only child, all the attention's on you. Everyone has these great aspects of you, and they think you're gonna be amazing. And honestly, everyone would always say, "David's gonna be an amazing man. He's gonna have an amazing wife. He's gonna be an amazing person." And it was hard. I remember growing up, I always knew I was different. I would look at the muscle fitness magazines and I would go, "Wow." And for me, that scared me. I was afraid growing up. I remember being the only kid that the guys would look at and they just be like, "Well, we'll pick you to play dodgeball," but they just hit me anyways. And it's really hurtful, it's not a game growing up like that. And for a long time, that internal pain that I talked about before, it hit me, and I accepted that I was gay when I was 16. And that might have been okay, but in society's terms, it doesn't matter because you're still not normal. And that same year, I tried killing myself. And that was a hard time. And it's funny because I've actually talked to a lot of kids, not even adults, teenagers who are gay, are identified as trans. And you know what's sad about that is a lot of them go, oh yeah, me too. I've been in the hospital too. And it's just a sad reality that these kids growing up, they have to resort to that. They have to resort to trying to kill themselves. Luckily, when I went to the hospital, they put me in a guys unit with all men. And for me, I never hung out with guys. But it's funny. I guess it's God's gift to me because when I was in that hospital room, I had guys who would throw chairs up the wall, and they would get into fights with each other over freaking cereal. But with me, they just looked at me and said, "David, I'm glad you're here." They would talk to me. They'd appreciate who I am. One of them even said, "Your existence means a lot to me." I want that for everyone. I want that for not only just homosexual kids, but for heterosexual kids, for everyone who's a human being who has a life. And I guess I don't think none of us should get some sleep, and we should all sit here in the cold until that reality happens.
We can sleep the next
Hello? Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, so I have 2 minutes and I'm going to try to do my best. One question is, why am I wearing an orange vest? And gas mask and all that stuff. And it comes a bit from historical fact, I guess you could say, and also personal reasons. One, it was supposed to rain. Second of all, some of my coworkers gave me the gas mask because they were afraid they would, gas us out. So, yay. Third of all, it's I'm gay. Yeah, there you go. But why am I gay? Because I was born that way, and God, in His wondrous knowledge, kind of. Gender is one of those things that you don't quite understand why. Fish are males when they're born in certain species, and they turn into females the older they get. I mean, but for my family, I'm Latino, originally from Mexico. So the idea that, you just become gay is not exactly universally accepted. It's more like either I got raped or I must be having some sort of, mental breakdown, and that's why I have to, repent and ask for God to save my soul. So but I really don't think like that. It's kind of weird hearing the stories that I've heard so far. But to the Latino community, and that's where I'm coming from, being queer does not make us any more special or any more better than, if you're just a regular immigrant or if you're just trying to go to college and can afford it, or being somebody who's trying to get a job and, you're discriminated based because you happen to like, someone of the same sex. And the reason why I bring that up is because in our history, in the Latino community, we've always been part of the, within the Latino community, our queer brothers and sisters, be they gay, lesbian, transgender, intersexual, asexual, pansexual, polyamorous, we've always been active in the communities. And I don't know if anybody knows somebody by the name of Cesar Chavez. He went to the first National Equality March at the National Mall holding the rainbow flag with a bunch of other activists. Yet, our Latino community does not recognize that contribution he did. Second of all, is that a lot of our brothers and sisters, especially from the transsexual and transgender communities, when they're held up over a few blocks from here, detention centers from ICE and other organizations, they're denied access to drugs. Sometimes these happen to be antivirals drugs, and we've had incidences where people have died because of that. Third of all people, Univision, Telemundo, Azteca America, Estrella, all these Latino-based Spanish language television shows report on us frequently, and they report certain aspects that mainstream media does not report. So I bring this up because it seems that if you're Latino and you're bilingual and that kind of stuff, you're not very useful. If anything, you become radioactive. Hence the reference here. You're toxic. We have to catch like the 80% of the population out there, which, supposedly it's like Anglo white English speaking, even though in Los Angeles 60% of the population is Latino. And had the failure with campaign on Proposition 8 was the failure to outreach to the Latino community, but also the African American community, and especially in Southern California, the Asian community. So I'm bringing this conversation up because there is baggage that has not been recognized within the community itself, the LGBT queer community, and these things need to be talked about because knowledge is power, but it's only potential power. If you speak about it, then things get fixed. And it's all for the benefit of the 1%. There's an old saying in Greek and Latin, "Cui bono," to whose benefit. The less we know, the better for them. The more we know, it's worse for them. So that's why I bring up this conversation up, and I hope this queer GA has enlightened you guys, and hopefully you'll stop using the F word and start using more like, "Hey, how you doing?" Instead of, all right, cheers.
I don't think I need it. Y'all can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about privilege and marginalization in the political realm. When I first was coming out, we all knew that there was a history of LGBT people being involved in progressive movements, but we were always pushed off to the side. How many of you know that Bayard Rustin is the person who turned Martin Luther King on to nonviolence, the person who organized the March on Washington, the person who was then thrown out of the movement because he was queer and he was a communist? How many of you know that in NOW in the early 70s, they purged the lesbians? If you can imagine that. The National Organization for Women purged the lesbians. The National Organization for Women purged the lesbians.
That's why they suck.
In no less a progressive organization than Pacifica Radio, when I was working at KPFK in the mid-80s, somebody actually said that my hire should not be counted as an affirmative action hire, because since I was a lesbian or a bi-dyke, I didn't count as being African American anymore. Because you can only be one thing, and I think that's a big thing about heteronormativism. That if you think that queer is so queer, then you can only be one thing. Like you couldn't possibly be black and queer too.
You get sick,
You can only be one at a time. And that's like, and you have to also decide which you're going to be. Are you going to be black today, or are you going to be queer today? Or are you going to be a woman tomorrow? It's crazy making. It's crazy making. That's how people expect you to divvy your head up in order to participate in organizations.
Thank you.
Thank Goddess for radical women.
Do you want to tell us a personal story, Carolina?
Me?
We're gonna do an open mic stack for other people and also for the report cards from the group after Carolina.
it though. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I think I can eat this.
Go on a negative thing, but like if
I
you
think he gave
had
me like
somebody,
3.
if you had a peer that died, you know, not an older person, but somebody. Mic check.
You need a mic.
Mic check. Can you hear?
Yeah.
All here. Okay. I'll be real quick. Imagine that if you had somebody your age or younger that died, and you wanted to go to the memorial, and the people that are the immediate family and whatever, the relatives of that person, denied you the right to come to that memorial. And you had no right to mourn your good friend. You didn't even get a chance to say goodbye, nothing. They just take the remains off, and maybe they change them so they don't even look like you knew them when they put them in the casket. So imagine like that. That's the experience I want you to kind of think about. That's what trans people often go through when a good friend will die. The family who didn't like them and probably rejected them when they came to our community, you know, they're gone. Or they, you know, you don't get a chance. The people that were close to them, who were really their friends, they don't get a chance to mourn that person. That's the experience I've had. It's gotten better lately, but when I first started out, I mean, this happened year after year.
Just real quickly, before we go into our breakout discussions, I'm going to share personally for a minute. And I'd like everybody to mic check with me, please.
Mic
Mic
check.
check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Fag.
Fag.
Faggot.
Faggot.
Those two words.
Those two words.
Define my identity.
Define my identity.
So my identity.
So my identity
Was formed.
was formed
Via insult.
via insult.
That's the experience.
That's the experience
Of many gender.
of many gender
Non-conforming males.
non-conforming males.
I know.
I know
That every man.
that every man
In this assembly.
in this assembly
Has experienced.
has experienced
That word.
that word
One way or the other.
one way or the other.
It prevents us.
It prevents us
From relating to each other.
from relating to each other
As men.
as men.
Because it's always.
It's always
A question.
a question
When we get close.
when we get close.
Hey, are you a fag?
Hey, are you a fag?
It's very destructive.
Very destructive.
It's male bonding.
Male bonding.
It's really painful.
It's really painful.
So I want us.
I hope
That as we discuss.
that we discuss
In our breakout groups.
in our breakout groups
This question of privilege.
this question of privilege
And how it affects us all personally.
and how it affects us all personally.
That we reach in.
That we reach in
And think about.
and think about
How we've experienced.
how we experience
That marginalization.
that marginalization
Personally.
personally
And also.
and also
How we put it out to people.
how we put it out to people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna break into groups. Please choose a note taker and somebody who is willing to come back and do a report back so that we can hear about your discussions. Also, be clear with your note taker or your person who's going to report back if you're sharing something personal that you don't want to come back to the General Assembly. That's fine too. But just make sure that you're clear with each other about what's appropriate for a report back and what's not, and respect each other that way. So here's the foundation question. You can, of course, take this and run, okay? But the foundational question here is, how have you experienced heteronormative privilege? How have you experienced it? And how might heteronormative privilege function to either benefit you? How is it something that has worked to your advantage? Or how is it something that can be used to unfairly target you? So some things you can think about in specifics are housing, schooling, Work, choice of life partner, relationship with your family. Right? These are just some of the areas to get the ball rolling when you're thinking about this. So if you could please break into groups, we're going to have about 20 minutes to talk this through and get some stories on the table and make sure that you understand and come back to sharing.
Break out! By the way, I got candy! Anybody want candy? Grab it! Wait, in a well-fashioned manner.
Grab it in a mannered way.
Chill on.
Hi.
Hey, Joe.
I don't know. I think I'm going to check in with the facilitation. We kind of bounce around.
They're helping.
Yeah.
Thank you for waiting for me to crawl up.
I think it'd be cool to go around and just ask people.
Pop it up against pop it up some more.
I'm like, how did you go like this?
Thank you.
That's
fine.
Oh, they're putting the queer sign up on the city hall up there. Strange to tell his life on the street, right? I don't know. I don't think it's that strange. People tell their personal stories on TV all the time. I don't. Being here in the sidewalk in front of City Hall is not that different, I guess. But Sardini, you were asking if there people have gay rights in the United States. No, actually, people don't have gay rights in the United States.
Hey, wait, John, before you swim, that's okay, but I'm glad you felt something. Hey. Yes.
Hi, Quasi.
Hi, how are you?
All right, how are you doing?
I've always had a problem with the church, and I know there's other people.
Hey, Sardini, check this out. This is our city hall, and we have caution. We have police tape right here on the. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty twisted up. Are you breaking the law up there? I'm trying to open the caution tape so my friend in France can see that there's police tape. No, well, actually, I'd love it if you would. I didn't see that. I don't know who did it. But look up here. We're on the. They're putting the queer sign on the city hall. I think it would be hot to just leave it there. Like, oh, it's too dark, you can't see it. Thank you so much for streaming this, Patty. It's so great to see City Hall, hear your voice. Wow, this is great. Hey, Jeannie Dean. Oh, bleep, my battery. Um, I have to plug it in a minute. Jeannie Dean, were you watching the streaming from UC Riverside the other day? I was thinking of all of you guys and how you weren't here. I do need a light, actually. I borrowed this little flashlight from Giselle, and it's not working very
If you could
well.
just go closer. Oh, it looks so good.
Is he laying down up there?
Yeah.
Oh, he's laying down. Oh, Jeannie was asking me in the live stream if I needed a light. That's all. And how weird that there's no cops. There's usually cops up there. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Good job.
How's it going?
It's all good. Just did some decorating at City Hall.
Yeah.
Felt like old times.
I know.
Yeah, felt good.
I wish the police tape wasn't there.
Well done. Very well done.
I need one of those big ugly lights like Sky has.
Yay. Nice.
Yeah, well, I live streamed at UC Riverside for like 11 hours. So if you, over there on the right side of the page, you probably have to go back to 2 days ago and you'll see everything that happened. Um, Anthony and Shima and another guy from Occupy LA got shot with the rubber paint lead bullets. Um, Two people got arrested. There was a guy from Occupy Riverside who got arrested, and another guy from somewhere else. They said he wasn't a student at that university. He got arrested. They were arrested for assaulting officers, though I didn't witness any violent behavior on behalf of the protesters. But the university police did beat some of the protesters with their billy clubs. Yeah, get the light, Patty. Yeah, Anthony, Shima, and one other guy from Occupy LA were shot by university police with rubber bullet paint gun, rubber, lead, plastic paint gun. And when it happened, Anthony had to be carried away because he was shot 4 times in the legs, and he couldn't walk right away. And we saw his wounds, and they were really, really ugly. And it was pretty scary when it happened. I didn't hear any noise. There was a big stampede, and I almost got knocked over. It was really scary. Yeah, ouch is right. It looked like it hurt a lot.
Or were they helping?
The guy on the bike who was drunk a couple weeks ago and screaming, he's here again with this bike and he's yelling. He doesn't appear to be as loud or as drunk as he was before, but he's here and yelling. Hopefully, he won't be disruptive. I'm not going to go into any of the discussion groups right now because maybe they might be talking about things that might be personal and they might not want the whole world to hear what they're saying. So I'm just going to walk around right now. Oh, look, there's Mister. We'll go say hi to Mister.
Don't generalize Latinos because there are many gays in the community that people are accepted. In the Latino community, gays are being
But they
accepted.
voted.
Not in my Latino community.
It's pretty difficult to say that when they have laws against us. They pass legislation, and the perspective is still to this day is that if you're gay, either you're gonna get AIDS, or you got raped, or you just must be crazy somehow.
No, it's your choice.
It's not a
I
choice
think I
though.
saw a
That's a
video of him
misunderstanding
responded by others
overall.
at the LOA website. We'll check it
If
out.
it
Good
was
lord.
why would I choose to be discriminated? Why would I choose to have a life like
A lot
that?
of people.
Do you think I want to be like gay because I think it's cool for now and like maybe later I'll become straight?
Some people do. It's another subject, yeah. It's a lot of things people do because they chose to do.
But we are talking. You're emphasizing that it's overall. While from my own experience, not from my understanding, but my own personal experience, and with the people I live with and the people I know, and with my own family, that has been the common view. It's pretty hard if you want to talk to my parents, if you want to talk to my
That's
friends.
invading your privacy, no?
Well, why is it that it's not okay for us to have a queer GA though?
I didn't say that.
You said that
I said the queer GA I dislike. Why? Because we're the same franchise people.
I don't understand how it
a
can
lot of people don't understand. But
there was an Occupy the Hood GA, and there was a city civic engagement GA. The civic engagement would
You could have said gay GA, but no queer GA.
I don't understand how.
But wait. Can I add a point here? If a person says call me queer, then call them queer.
Yeah, it's their choice.
But what's are you upset about the word queer or the?
I don't like the word because it's an adjective discriminatory.
But but if my friend says call me queer, I'm gonna call my friend queer. If he doesn't think it's bad, it's not bad, right? Hey, Beth.
How are you?
Let me get your quote for you.
I'm
Here, hold
just
this.
responding to your questions, and I respect what you're saying, but at the same time, you have to respect from where we're coming, and like, if we can't generalize Latinos, even though those are real experiences, and there are statistics proving.
They don't feel guilt or anything, and they don't feel discriminated. They're go ahead
Horrible discrimination.
Even if you see la telenovelas, you'll see almost everybody who's the good guy happen to be whiter, they happen to be rich, they happen to be better than the poor middle class people who steal. No, this is what my mom. This is what my mom told me. ¿Por qué no te cambias de? Estás bien moreno. ¿Por qué no te haces más güerito? Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? And that's the same assumptions. That's the same assumption when it comes to gayness. Oh, you can change a little bit. Like, how the fuck can you change that? I don't understand how that is. You said it's a choice. It's not a choice. It's not a choice between telling the truth and telling a lie. Do you really think it's better for me to get married with a woman, have kids, lie her? For one, I don't even drink. I don't even smoke. I don't even take drugs. I'm pretty simple. Yeah, but that's overgeneralizing. But that's not what we're talking about. You're saying like Latinos in general are perfect. Like they don't have anything to do.
No.
Even though when it comes to LGBT issues, they usually vote against.
I can't get this on.
Okay.
This is fucked up.
Because they think we might be converting
Oh
them.
shit!
Or
What
maybe
did I do?
we'll give them AIDS or something. That's not the impression. If you're just seeing it, if you're seeing it.
Sorry about the sound, guys.
Terrible with this. And
So it should be better now. Is it good now, Sardini?
They were like so freaked out that we attacked, like we went after them and verbally attacked them and tried to, and it was amazing because all of a sudden like the ohm circle starts and everybody's ohming them out and they're like, what is going on?
Oh, that reminds me. Totally different topic. We need to have an Ohm the Police March.
Ohm the Police March?
Yeah, that's my anti-FTP march. It's the OTP. We need to ohm the police.
Own the police.
Yes.
I think Freedom will be down for that.
Oh, by the way, I thank you for that remark you left. But I recently broke up, but that really, men are jerks, and I shouldn't be that surprised either.
No, none of us should ever should.
All right, I gotta plug in. Sorry, the video quality just went really, really bad, even though it's really terrible.
What is the spaghetti? What is the spaghetti?
Where's my bread?
The spaghetti.
All right. Oh, the video's better.
I'm thinking about going back. Isn't freezing.
Where are you going?
I think I'm gonna go back home because it's cold.
Oh, okay. It's fucking cold. I have 3 hoodies on. I have 3 hoodies on right now, and a warm hat.
I've got pantyhose on
And I've got man socks.
Yeah, I got leg warmers on. I'm like, look at this.
Sound okay, Chief? I am not a chief. I'm sexy. Beth is flashing some leg over here.
Do I stay? Do I go? I'm just just like really tired. I still didn't recover from running around on Thursday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's gonna be a long day. We get the picnic.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going to the picnic because it's not far from.
And then social media
There's a
meetings
picnic
tomorrow.
at MacArthur Park tomorrow, 10 a.m. to celebrate Roe versus Wade.
So then we'll go to the social media meeting, and we can go back to the picnic if we want. We may or may not have a media meeting. I don't know. You know how it rolls.
Yeah.
So,
Well.
you know, tomorrow is always a day full of meetings, and then Monday is a day full of meetings, and then Tuesday is a day full of GAs and stuff.
At some point, I have to start painting.
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 Well, at least the other streamers are coming back.
I did my photography homework that was due like the other day. I just need to get the film developed. But all those self portraits I put on
Well, you
on
can
Facebook
stream
today.
yourself painting with the mask on.
Jeannie says, I love you and I miss you
I
best.
love you too. I miss you too. You're still awake if you want. You can call me. I'm gonna go walk up. I think to the train now because I am beat. It's only 9:30, but you know. Or I'll call you. Actually, you'll still be awake. I'll call you when I get off the train because I have to walk for 15, 20 minutes. So you know how that rolls. Okay. Peace, guys.
Good night, Beth.
Most likely you're not.
Patty, yes.
Hey.
Hi.
So,
I'm Patty.
So we're gonna
I'm streaming, live streaming. The world is watching.
broke up into groups. Groups is finished.
I mean, like,
I have a guy from France watching.
Maybe it would be a good segue for them to just come, so she can just say a few words while
Hey,
people preparing.
I was trying to talk to you, but it got heated over there. Are we going to the bar after?
No, of course.
Okay.
I wish I brought my dress. I could have like shut my
So,
stuff.
was she like uneducated? Is that what the argument was about?
No, it
or-
was just like the assumption being that I overgeneralize and that it's a choice.
That's uneducated though to think it's a choice.
For one thing, it's not a choice. And yes, I did generalize, but to be honest, given that I had 2 minutes, and not to mention there is proof that, you know, especially during the Prop 8.
I think that, you know, generally speaking in the Latino community, it's not acceptable to be gay. It is acceptable to get married, have babies, and then do whatever you want on the side, but to be gay and not get married and have babies is not acceptable.
Yeah, you have to have a baby.
I know exactly how. I have a friend, and they told him, "Sweetie, I don't care what you do, just get married and make babies." And
it's not only the Latino community; it's like the South Asian community.
Yeah,
the
well,
Muslim
I'm only
community,
from.
like all the other communities.
I'm
the
only
same thing.
I'm only Latino on the inside, so I'm not genetically Latino, but I'm culturally Latino. So.
You know, technically, Latino is like anybody who's mixed. So if you're mixed,
Well,
you're
I'm Euro mix.
Euro mix.
Can I say I'm Euro mix? Like I don't like to say I'm white.
Sounds like a flavor.
I mean, I'm jealous.
Like a yogurt flavor.
I'm jealous of everyone else because I people call me white, and I'm like, well, you know, I don't have some culture like everybody else has some culture.
Well, you must have some Irish in you.
Yeah, but I don't know anything. What does that mean, though? What does being Irish mean? I don't know what being Irish means.
That's true.
Oh my God. And I'm German, and I don't know anything about being
Deutsch.
German.
I love Germany. It's like one of those countries that I want to move.
All the high school kids have to go home and get to bed because they have school in the morning. It's a school night. How cute. When I was in high school, there was no gay people.
Out. Out, gay people. It's hard to believe there are no
and
gay
then when you're in college and you find out, you're like, but I dated him. Hi, Alipa. Are you going to sing tonight?
All right, how you feeling?
Are you going to sing?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna try.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just, want the words to come over more than the music.
Yeah.
It's a little scratchy as normal.
I live streamed you singing at the on Thursday. I had 20,000 viewers on Global Rev. I was on Global Revolution and Occupy TV. We had over 20,000 viewers that day.
I don't have a working.
On Thursday.
Wow, I didn't sing. I should have
You did sing. I have you on my stream singing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't remember what you sang, but it was.
Crappy one or the same one?
It was
Can you do?
good.
I don't. It's not working.
The crowd was loving
Can you
it.
do it without?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a way to bring people in, let's start singing.
I clap.
Okay,
Alright.
clap.
We're gonna have a little music.
organizations
Together.
at all,
Together. Go. Sing it.
Love and good. 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 Yeah. Dear mother, thank you. For you can hear my spirit.
Yes, I'm German. I don't remember how to speak German. I used to speak German, but I don't speak German anymore.
Let's gather back up, everybody, and we're gonna do some report backs and hear about your conversation.
I needed it.
I went out and it was like
The French guy's typing in German. It's a little confusing. This guy here, he wrote, he asked me if I'm German in German. It says, Du bist Deutsch? Ja, ich bin Deutsch. That's about all I can say.
So we're all anxious.
Ich liebe dich.
We're all anxious to hear what you all discuss. So let's gather back together.
We've got stackers on either side. Julie and Ryan, please put a person on stack.
Please have your group report back. See a stacker.
We still have bandanas as well.
Yay.
Bandanas for people who report back.
Can we all huddle? Warmth? For warmth? This is a good social. Yes. Are you kidding? What do you think?
Well, yeah, you and your mini skirt. Hot mess.
Anybody else?
What
Oh,
do
we
you
got
think?
two people
I
here. Anybody got
have
report back?
a nice
I know you have tights on,
tights
but
underneath.
come on.
Hello.
Come on.
Come on, anyone
What
want to
fits over
report back?
tights?
Sheila. Pants. Have you ever heard the
People have intimate conversations like this.
Having fun.
Okay. Liz, are you going to report back? Liz, should I put it back down? You're going to report back? Please, somebody.
Good to hear.
Are you our reporter?
I'll do it. I'll try.
It is New York. She's over there. It's easy to find her. She's got the name. Julie. Go do that, yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Are we ready?
Ignore it because we have to
All right, we're going to have to use the people's mic
People's mic.
for the rest of the evening.
For the rest of the evening.
Because our megaphone.
Because our megaphone
is dead.
dead.
Megaphones died to bring you this information.
They don't. Is there no Viagra for microphones?
First up.
First Megaphone.
I am Deva.
Deva.
And I'd like to come out to everybody that already know.
And I'd like to come back to everybody
You already know
that I'm queer.
that I'm queer. And you're here.
And I'm here. And you're getting used to it. I'd like to ask everyone.
I'd like to ask everyone.
What is the
opposite of normal.
Joyful.
Normal.
Free. Can I get an answer, please?
Abnormal, please.
Abnormal.
You need
Free.
abnormal.
I keep hearing people say.
I keep hearing people say
Normal.
normal
In reference to heterosexuals.
in reference to heterosexuals.
So does that make everyone else
So does that make everyone else
abnormal?
abnormal?
I just have a problem with
I just have a problem with
referring to heterosexuals as being normal.
heterosexuals as being normal.
I know I'm abnormal.
I know I'm abnormal.
But it has nothing to do with my sexuality.
Okay.
Love you, Flower. I love you too. Quite often I've been able to hide.
Quite often I've been able to hide
In the closet.
in the closet
For a few reasons.
for a few reasons.
I'm a mother.
I'm a mother
And a grandmother.
and a grandmother.
And while my daughter
While my daughter
was a young child.
was a young child
And I'd go to
and I'd go to
her school.
her school,
I would make sure
I would make sure
I wasn't perceived
I wasn't perceived
as a lesbian.
as a lesbian
Or queer.
or queer
Or butch.
or butch
Why?
Or different.
or different.
The reason why
The reason why
children
children
can be very rude to one another.
can be very rude to one another.
And I never wanted her
And I never wanted her
to suffer
to suffer
the repercussions
the repercussions
of my sexual preference.
of my sexual preference.
And I find that sad.
And I find that sad
That a child
that a child
would be
would be
ostracized
ostracized
because of their parents'
because of their parents'
sexual preference.
sexual preference.
I never lived in the closet
I never lived in the closet
from the time I was 17 when I came out
from the time I was 17 when I came out
until about 9.
until about 29
My daughter went to school.
when my daughter went to school
And I had this epiphany.
and I had this epiphany.
I said, wow.
I said, wow,
I just didn't want her to be teased.
I just did not want her to be teased.
I remember one day
I remember one day
her sitting and playing with her Barbies.
her sitting and playing with her Barbies.
And she had 2 sets.
And she had 2 sets,
Black set.
black
white
set, and white
White
set.
set.
Well, she put the girls with the girls and the boys with the boys.
Well, she put the girls with the girls and the boys with the boys.
And she's sitting there
And she's sitting there
playing with them.
playing with them.
And she says,
And she says,
you know how children speak to themselves while they're playing?
you know how children speak to themselves while they're playing.
Boys can be with boys and girls can be with girls.
Boys can be with boys and girls can be with girls.
And then she turns to me
And then she turns to me,
and she says, Mommy, isn't that right?
Mommy, isn't that right?
And I'm like, yeah. And I thought to myself,
I thought to myself,
wow, I'm raising this child.
I'm raising this child.
And it just helped me to realize what a responsibility I had.
And it helped me to realize what responsibility I had.
So that's all I have to say is that I really have a problem with people's
So that's all I really have to say.
I really have a problem with people
referring to heterosexuals as being normal.
heterosexuals as being normal.
And my abnormality has nothing to do with my sexuality.
And my abnormality has nothing to do with my sexuality.
Next on stack
Next on stack
is Sheila.
is Sheila.
Wow, I didn't even know what the fuck the stack meant.
Wow, Mic check.
I
I really want to say I'm grateful for John.
I think he's a pioneer. I think he's really powerful. I am really grateful for him.
I don't want to blow smoke up your ass.
I don't want to blow smoke up your ass.
Thank you, Sheila. You know what? Our whole facilitation team was awesome and put a whole lot of hard work into making this happen.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We have a few more report backs.
We have a few more report backs.
We're going to call them up.
We're going to call them up.
But if you have committee announcements, affinity group announcements, other business things,
But if you have committee announcements, affinity group announcements,
get on step.
Get on track.
So next for report backs is Elise.
Next for report backs is Elise.
Hi.
Hi.
So we started by once again reviewing the meanings behind hetero and gender normativity and the implications of that. Specifically, one that I myself hadn't necessarily recognized. Although there were many others that I had. That somebody had brought up earlier about a crush. About being able to talk to, one of your friends, that it's normal.
About being able to talk to one of your friends that's normal.
Like normal if you're a girl talking about this boy you like, or vice versa.
like normal if you're a girl talking about this boy you like, or vice versa.
But how complicated and painful that could be for so many other people. And so many of us don't recognize that. We also talked about an unhealthy binary in our society. That we see in our political structure. And our economic structure. And our gender structure. And also our partnership. We talked about how a lot of people are insensitive when inviting a couple or a triad, etc., to events such as weddings, Christmas, Hanukkah, and how that can be really difficult. Also, that often when going out in public with a woman, when it's two women, our culture has begun to accept that, and like to a point fetishized it. So when two women are out on a date, they're looked at in a sexual way like they're standing there naked. We also talked about problems with patriarchal culture. That by Sarah's definition of queer, we're against the norm enough to be sleeping in tents. So we're all queer. And then tent queer. Proud.
Wow, I love that too.
We're here, we're queer, get used to it.
And we're intense.
And just other like relationship structures and how those of us in the group who might identify more like generally in a more like sort of gender or heteronormative way
that, and I'm loud enough, that like we still have experienced like relationships or desires or callings that sort of go into sort of like an abnormal territory, and both the pain and joy that that's brought. So, and then also we just wanted to remind you that tomorrow we have the 39th anniversary of Roe versus Wade.
We have the 39th
anniversary of Roe versus Wade. It's gonna be a teach-in. It's gonna be a potluck. It's from 10 to 3. Potluck's at noon. We got a bus. We're gonna decorate it. It's in MacArthur Park. The Kids Village is gonna be there. So be there. Bring food. Decorate buses. And celebrate choice.
Next up on staff is Colin.
It's Colin.
Hi everyone. If you can hear me, let's not do the people's mic because I have a hard time talking under that. So we had a great discussion about privilege in our group. We sort of broadened the topic in terms of how it's normally been discussed.
I got it on Facebook.
What it can actually potentially mean. Some of us recognize that privilege is not an absolute state. It's not like you're privileged or not. The question really is, how are you privileged? Because in some ways, we all are. Some people talked about their individual experiences growing up on farms out in the Midwest in very normative, average, everyday type environments, and how their exposure by moving into the bigger city to these type of marginalized groups, including queers, but also minority races, really shifted their perception of them and just experiencing them as people and not as stereotypes. We recognize that privilege necessarily creates responsibilities, and it's important to recognize in what ways you have been privileged and to accept those responsibilities as a result. Also the link between privilege and compassion. A lot of people who don't recognize the ways that they are privileged don't have much compassion towards people who aren't. And it's important that you recognize that to enable that compassion. Took really bad notes because the conversation was interesting, so sorry, that's all I have.
Next up is Francis.
Hello. So, we had a really awesome conversation. One thing that had been thrown out was to add to the question of how the Occupy experience for people, how they've experienced it here at Occupy, and so I'm gonna throw together everyone's thoughts. One person could how sure, sorry. Short sentences. All right. Give me a slow down. All right, so part of Occupy is understanding the conditions that we live in, who we really are, and what society could be like, and should look like. Period. Every space is unsafe. For some person. Who doesn't fit the definition. Of the normative. We need to create safe spaces. All over. Wherever we go. One person reported. Feeling that the emphasis on leadership here at Occupy was harder for some people to access the
Not describing this well, but
But they felt that when
they felt that when they
were trying to
Step up.
step up,
We're trying to step up.
they were considered to be
They were considered to be
bitchy,
bitchy,
bitches, and so it made it
hard.
It's made it hard for women
It's made it hard for women
to have that same kind of leadership
to have that same kind of leadership
presence. Um, the documentary misrepresentation was introduced to the group, which we should have a screening of. Um, it it really captures how the media portrays women and femininity and keeps it in its place, which has made it harder for women to become leaders and to take leadership positions, especially in our political sphere. The question of vocabulary that is often used at Occupy. Of brothers and sisters. It was suggested that we should explore other terms. One suggestion is siblings. And that this conversation should be ongoing. Um, there is also a phenomenal exhibition of images at a gallery on the campus of UCLA called The Death of the Daughter, which shows how families have dealt with their trans children and their own perceptions of who those people we had one report from an experience in Oakland. Of when Occupy Oakland first began, there were problems. It was not a safe space. For everyone. And they stepped up right away. And dealt with a lot of issues about housing. Bathrooms. Providing medical support to transgender community. And an enormous effort was made. It was very impressive. Something we should be continuing to do all over. They had created a specific space. At the center of camp. That was a space for queer people. They were given their own role. In adding security to that space. To make sure that they had really created a safe space. That would accommodate their needs. To be able to connect with each other. And evaluate their experiences. So they could bring back
Hi,
that back to
Sky.
a larger group. They've also revamped their facilitation. To rotate by different demographics. The queer cause caucus.
The queer caucus.
Facilitating one. The trans community was facilitating another one.
The trans community was facilitating another one.
And also different ethnic groups, I believe, as well.
And also different ethnic groups, I believe, as well.
There was also a movement.
There was also a movement.
Occupy Ellen.
Occupy Ellen.
I second that.
We have a couple of announcements over here. Do you have anyone else on staff?
Do we have anyone else on staff?
Oops.
Okay, cool.
No, we're done.
So,
Let me see.
Thank you all for the hard breakout group work.
It's 10 o'clock. I don't know how much longer.
I just remembered.
I have an announcement.
You're
all invited.
You're all invited.
To a dance party.
To a dance party.
Now.
Now.
I have to look at my phone.
Look at my phone.
while you pick up your details,
You're
also invited.
You're also invited.
To join the facilitation team and friends.
To join the facilitation team and
At
friends.
the new Jalisco Bar.
At the new Jalisco Bar.
Where there is a tranny show.
Where there is a tranny show.
Happening tonight.
Happening tonight.
Yay.
Dance party.
It's actually
I'm gonna cut it like soon.
a
Hopefully I can get
and tranny.
And tranny.
It's not a cool word.
It's not a cool word.
That's debatable.
Sky, are you home yet?
Two callers.
Probably Sky.
Their tranny show.
They're a tranny show.
There's a division. You're okay. It's all right.
I
Says tranny mama.
That's right.
Last night,
Last night,
I was with a bunch of straight friends.
I was with a bunch of straight friends.
Who used tranny.
We used tranny.
A bunch. And I actually had the guts.
I actually had the guts
To say something.
to say something.
It was awkward.
It was awkward.
I think they got it.
I think they got it.
The dance party.
dance party.
Is at 410
They got 410
Cottage Ove
Cottage Ove
Street.
Street.
Just south of Dodger Stadium.
Just south of Dodger Stadium.
At a place called
Human Resources.
It goes from 9 p.m.
It goes from 9 p.m.
to 1 a.m.
to 1 a.m.
And is the post party.
And it is the post party
From the Fem Day of Action.
from the Fem Day of Action,
Where they had a conference day and talked about
where they had a conference they talked about
creating a fem
what a
community here in LA.
STEM community.
What a femme community here in LA. Hey, we want to see that.
Bears allowed.
I believe it's free.
I believe it's free.
And that there's donations. You can make a donation for snacks and adult beverages. I can probably drive 2 people if anyone wants to go with.
It's really, really cold.
We've got a few announcements.
We've got a few announcements.
We'll be quick about it. First is Lee.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Lee.
I'm Lee.
I'm trans.
I'm trans.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Me and Anthony and Shima.
Me and Anthony and Shima.
We're participating in protests on Thursday.
We're participating in protests on Thursday. At the UC meeting.
At Riverside. And the police shot us.
And the police shot us.
So tell everyone.
So tell everyone.
There's a mark on my leg. We were being peaceful.
We were being peaceful.
And police broke through the line.
And police broke through the line.
And shot at us.
And shot at us.
We weren't trying to attack police.
We weren't trying to attack police.
We know it's bullshit by now.
I know it's bullshit by now.
But the last thing, we moved around a bunch and the cops couldn't keep us anywhere. So it's like the Portland strategy. So let's bring that knowledge to next time.
Let's bring that knowledge to next time.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Ruth, and she's going to be talking about general strike and facilitation.
Hi everyone.
I have flyers.
I have flyers.
For the general strike meeting tomorrow.
I gotta say,
So far, it's pretty male heavy.
It's pretty male heavy.
We need new blood.
We need new blood.
We would love an LGBTQ contingent.
An LGBTQ contingent.
Get involved on May 1st.
Get involved on May 1st.
So please come get a flyer.
So please come get a flyer.
And come to the meeting.
And come to the meeting.
After the Roe versus Wade meeting.
After the Roe versus Wade meeting.
I have them here.
I have them here.
And the second announcement.
And the second announcement.
And the next few theme GAs.
The next few theme GAs.
We have general strike.
We have general strike.
Then we have keeping it real.
Then we have keeping it real.
And then we have a free spot.
And then we have a free spot.
So we would love.
So we would love
Women and allies.
Women and allies.
Our kids village.
Or kids village.
Or the compassionate communicators.
Or the compassionate communicators.
Or any group here.
Or any group here.
Come and hold a theme GA.
Come and hold a theme GA.
So come and see anyone in facilitation.
So come and see anyone in facilitation.
And that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That meeting starting next Saturday is going to be at 4. Those theme GAs. Michael Novick asked us to announce that.
Thank you.
I have one more announcement on stack. Mark.
Thank you so much. My name is Mark. I'm with the IWW. Right now, what we're looking for, we're trying to find anyone who can help us out. We're at headquarters from South Central to East LA. We're doing a new organizing campaign to organize workers in East LA. If any of you guys know of any space, a cooperative space, hopefully, that can rent out some office space to us for the duration of this campaign, that would be absolutely helpful. If you have any information, by all means, send it over to the LA branch. Secondly, also, we have a couple campaigns that are kind of on the down low right now. If anyone's interested in being a SALT, if you guys know what that is, where you organize at your own workplace, and want to organize a training, we are going to be doing that in the next 2 months. So if you're interested in becoming an organizer yourself, by all means contact us. We want to help you out with that too. Thirdly, the one campaign that is public is an artist union. If any of you guys
I
are
will
artists
exceed wide.
in the artist community, and you want to know how you guys can build a sort of network of solidarity, building it towards modeling it after SAG or AFTRA or something along those lines, to make it a little bit more avant-garde, by all means get involved with that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more. Two more.
Well, I was going to add myself.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because no one else has announced it, I'm going to announce that on Tuesday there is going to be a rally, and we're going to be speaking out at the Board of Supervisors meetings around the proposed millions of dollars that they're proposing in jail expansion. Okay? And so we're going to be meeting up at 9:30 at 500 West Temple, which is the Hall of Administration. And we're going to be having a demonstration, then we're going to be going in to light check that meeting at 10.
I check the supervisors.
On Tuesday, 9:30, 500 West Temple.
Right up that building right there.
Now we got John.
So it's me again. Hi. So just wanted to let you all know that I'll just talk loud. You don't have to mic your phone. We are working on organizing a community coalition called Out and Occupy to further expand the Occupy idea, the Occupy movement into the LGBTQ community. We've had several meetings already. We've drafted up an awesome mission statement. Anybody that wants it or wants more information, I've got it. So just come and see me and come join us. Thank you.
That was pretty good.
Think about this. We want to talk about reform versus liberation and what the experience of our community has been with starting with a riot and ending up with legislation. So, if you're interested in the